happen here. We've got Andrew Mahone on the left, Tricky Jim himself, one of the most popular creators in the game, but also a top-level competitor. He's coming off a top 32 finish at the World Championships. And should be no surprise to anyone who's kept up with Andrew's journey that he has stuck with Miraidon. He has become kind of a poster child for this Miraidon deck throughout the beginning of this season.
Oh, absolutely. And Andrew's going to be facing off against Colin Merli-Matthews, a name that we have been seeing quite a bit here, even just throughout the beginning of our season. And the fun fact here for Colin is that he only plays Mew VMAX. Now we have Fusion Mew or DTE Mew. He's played both, but today he's bringing it to us with some DTE Mew action. So let's take a look at our prize cards for both of these players heading into this matchup. 2 electric generators, Chip, no.
Yeah, that's not ideal. A Flaffy is kind of annoying as well. This is one of the matchups where if you can get the double Flaffy up and running, it's pretty good. Colin does prize a pair of Mew V, is playing 4 copies though, so shouldn't be too big of a deal. Another card I do want to call out though in the prizes for Andrew Mahone is the Bravery Charm. That can be a nice way to boost the HP of your Pokemon like Miraidon EX or Raikou V to make it a little bit more difficult for the Mew deck to try to get a one-hit KO.
Yeah, absolutely. This is going to be interesting. Colin also had 2 stadiums in the prize card, so we'll have to see how this plays out for both of our players here. But we're kicking things off here. This is our first Swiss round 4. Our players are at lunch right now, so we're going to have 2 round 4s for you all on the stream here today. Starting off with Andrew Mahone over here on the left side. I'm so happy to see Andrew, especially with Miraidon EX. He was talked about so much with that amazing finish at Worlds, and now we're able to see him play this deck that he put on the map for a lot of our players in the field now today.
Yeah, he's good friends and works with Jesse Parker. Of course, Jesse just got 2nd place at Pittsburgh a couple weekends ago. No surprise to see Andrew sticking with it here as well. He starts off with that tandem unit, gets a couple of Mareep into play. Andrew's probably not going to be pumped to see his opponent flip over the Mew V on the other side. This is a matchup that can be a little tough, I will admit, but he will probably breathe a sigh of relief once he realizes that Colin is not playing the Fusion Strike build. He does not have to worry about a turn 1 Meloetta.
Yeah, that could be scary indeed, and Andrew doesn't know what he's going to be facing off with until Colin gets that round started, or that
gets rolling.
That turn started. Ultra Ball here from Andrew Mahone, discarding, it looks like a Research and a Judge, so 2 supporters down. But, of course, getting out that Squawkabilly, a card you can only use on your first turn, discards your hand, and you're able to draw into an additional 6 cards. So, fantastic card to have.
Normally, you'd be kind of surprised to see a couple supporters hit the discard pile turn 1. Of course, you're unable to play a supporter on the first turn of the game, but it makes total sense whenever that Ultra Ball is getting the Squawkabilly, like you mentioned, so strong. And it kind of lets you play a supporter on turn 1 without actually playing a supporter. You get to draw 6 cards, very strong.
Yep, Andrew's squawking, he's seasoned, and he's getting those cards into hand for sure. Definitely lining things up. Miraidon is such a fast-paced deck, and so we're going to see a lot of cards flying into that discard pile and lining things up here for Andrew Mahone to hopefully take things down pretty quickly. We're also going to see that Zapdos join the field as well. That is from the Pogo set. Allows basic electric Pokemon to take 10 less damage, so that math is...
deal 10 more damage.
Deal 10 more damage, so getting that boost there for Andrew Mahone's side.
And this is a huge card to put in play to start the game off Path to the Peak. Of course, Colin's entire deck is pretty reliant on using abilities.
And 2 stadiums are also in the prize cards as well for Colin, so... Well,
huge
one
hit on that Cramomatic, though, by the way.
That is huge indeed. As long as you get a heads, you can search out anything here from your deck. So Colin going to get a pivotal card here. Didn't get a look at the starting hand for Colin, so we'll see what he's searching for here. But of course, he's going to be looking through the deck as well to line up what is in the prize card, seeing that 2 Mew V are prized, and that's definitely going to come into play throughout the turns here for Colin coming up.
Looks like the grab was just a Judge, so just grabbing the Judge and saying, hey, this hand is not working. I'm going to shuffle in and try to find something a little better to work with. Does find the Forest Sealstone, gets that attachment here onto the Mew. Will be able to utilize that Star Alchemy V-Star power to get any card out of the deck. On the other end of this Judge, really smart sequencing here from Colin, by the way, using Judge and then waiting to see what he draws before committing that V-Star power.
Yeah, that is huge indeed. Sequencing is so important in this Mew VMAX deck. So, yep, that Forest Seal Stone is going to come down, as well as the energy attachment for the turn as well in that double turbo. So nerfing the damage output a little bit, but that is going to be the energy attachment for turn that Colin needs to have out on the field. So we'll have to see what both of these players draw off the judge. They're going to be drawing into 4 cards each after shuffling up their decks. So Andrew's going to do a quick shuffle here for Colin, and we'll see what cards we get into.
Yeah, Colin's looking for Battle VIP Pass for sure, and also a way to get rid of Path to the Peak. And
oh, nice.
Here we go. VIP Pass, pretty solid. And even if Lost Vacuum was not found off the judge, we've already talked about it. That Forest Seal Stone is ready to go grab it if he needs to.
Absolutely. And of course, Path to the Peak is in play, but Forest Seal Stone, even though it's using an ability for that V-Star power, is able to be used under Path to the Peak because it is a separate tool card attached to that Pokemon. So that is fantastic. Battle VIP Pass, going to grab us 2 more Pokemon here to join us on the bench. A Genesect V was also drawn into from Colin as well. So now we have 2 Genesect out there on the field and another Mew V. And we're going to go into that Forest Seal Stone already for Colin Merli-Matthews, using it right away to get into that deck and hopefully bump that path.
Yeah, I have to imagine this grabbed the Lost Vacuum.
Yeah, that was what was grabbed.
Yep. Colin does play 3 Path to the Peak of his own, so
yes,
it's kind of interesting, right, to see. It's always interesting to see the Path to the Peak in the Mew deck, but that's what Colin, I think, would like to ideally accomplish here is draw a bunch of cards, use this Lost Vacuum, get rid of that path, see some cards off of these Genesect Fusion Strike systems, and then maybe play another path to end off the turn.
Absolutely, and that's what we're seeing here. That Lost Vacuum, that Boss's Orders was the card going into the Lost Zone there, so that's why it is on the side here for Colin. And, ooh, another card that was talked about in our intro. We have Grabber. Colin is going to choose a Pokemon out of Andrew Mahone's hand, which there wasn't one to go to the bottom of the deck, but now Colin has that knowledge of Andrew Mahone's hand as well.
Yeah, gets to just take a little peek. Pretty strong card in something like Mew VMAX whenever it's a, you know, this build of the deck, what you're trying to do is judge your opponent, Path to the Peak, and then grab something and get rid of it. You know, get rid of an option, get rid of a resource. It can be really good, but in worst case scenario, you can just burn it. You can play it, get a card out of your hand so you can draw more.
Yep, so we saw that free retreat on the Mew V to keep it safe there on the bench for Colin into the other Mew V in the active position, and it's just going to be a pass over now to Andrew Mahone, who is getting going here with all of these energy coming out from that electric generator. It was a 2-hit off of there. Fantastic to see, and a manual attachment there onto the Zapdos as well.
Yeah, absolutely massive, and Andrew is totally fine throwing something like this energy in play on the Zapdos. Even though you're not really going to be attacking with the Zapdos, you just need energy cards to be in play so you can close out the game with a Raichu V to come in and potentially one-hit KO a Mew VMAX. And that's one of the reasons as well that Zapdos is good in this deck, by the way, is because it means it's one less energy card you have to discard in order to use that Raichu in order to pick up that one-hit KO.
Yep, exactly, Chip. And yeah, Andrew Mahone is off to a fantastic start here. I mean, we saw kind of everything you want on your first turn of the game, and now Andrew Mahone is setting the tone here in the second turn as well, hitting those energy. We have another Path to the Peak out on the field here.
And Andrew does also find Escape Rope. He has 2 options here. He could retreat this Miraidon and then knock out this active Mew, or play the Escape Rope and then just knock out probably one of the 2 Genesect on Colin's side.
Yep, it is up to Colin here to choose what to send up, and it is going to be that Genesect V in the active position now off that Escape Rope, and that is the knockout here. Andrew Mahone is going to be the first to 2 prize cards in this game. Fast-paced Miraidon taking things down, but of course, is that Raikou V, an incredible inclusion, especially in this matchup. You're doing so much damage to take out these knockouts and get those prize cards.
Yeah, absolutely huge as well. The Zapdos coming into play, we mentioned it for the Mew VMAX, but it was really good in that instance as well because it boosted Raikou's damage output all the way up to 190 in order to ensure that KO.
Yeah, that is incredible indeed. Everything coming into play here for Andrew. We're going to have Colin starting off the turn here. Ultra Ball going to discard a Pal Pad and a Battle VIP Pass here in to get that Mew VMAX out of the deck. So Colin is going to start to align his own attacker here, and we'll have to see what else is in the hands here for Colin. That Path to the Peak is still in play here from Andrew Mahone's side, so we'll see what Colin is able to do for this turn. But at least having that Mew VMAX out there with that double turbo already attached to it is a start here for this turn.
Now, while Colin would love to get rid of this path and draw some cards, he doesn't have to in order to get the knockout. All he needs now at this point is a damage modifier, the power tablet. So he does at least have the bare minimum of what he would like to do this turn, isn't able to draw a bunch of cards, but does still score a 2-prize knockout.
And here we go, Chip. This is what our meta game is so heavily consistent of now. These big attackers swinging back and forth. So Colin's going to take that knockout. 2 prize cards on the other side of the field. And Andrew Mahone is now going to choose who to promote here into the active to start off this next turn.
Yeah, this is kind of an awkward spot. Andrew does need to find a Flaffy in order to get an extra energy in play, potentially if he wants to get off an attack this turn. Maybe another generator. I do think there is still 2 of those in the prize cards, however.
Cards in hand.
He's going to ask Colin how many cards are in the hand, maybe debating playing a judge or something like that, but actually looks like all he had was 2 Professor's Research in this hand.
Yep, so just asking, but gonna do a Professor's Research here, discarding the entire hand, drawing an additional 7 cards here.
And actually a huge draw right at the end of this 7 cards was finding the Raikou so that he could attach the Forest Sealstone. He says, Colin, I saw you utilize that Star Alchemy. I think I want to do the same thing. Now being able to fetch out any 1 card from his deck, can get any combo piece he may need in order to pull off the attack this turn.
Yep, gotta have a V Pokemon to pull off a V-Star power there. So that is fantastic find indeed here from Andrew. It's gonna allow him to get any card here from the deck, which is definitely needed.
And he knows that Colin's hand is kind of stuck as well in this spot because Colin didn't do much last turn. If Colin had a Lost Vacuum, you better believe it would have been played.
Yes.
Cards would have been drawn. There would have been more done. So Andrew can kind of make plays knowing that it's unlikely Colin's going to be able to respond to something like a Miraidon that has a Bravery Charm on it. And I think that's exactly what we're going to see right now as Escape Rope is being played and Bravery Charm is incoming.
Incoming indeed, that Flaffy allowing the Dynamotor to happen to attach that last energy onto the Miraidon EX that was on the bench here. Now it's coming into the active, gonna attach that Bravery Charm and get that knockout here on the Mew V. Another 2 prize cards down, exactly what Andrew Mahone needed to see. The Flaffy still in the prize
This is a big flip. And he does find a heads.
There for Colin, so that is awesome to see indeed. But Andrew Mahone down to 2 prize cards left to take down this game. We'll see how Colin is able to line up this turn and respond to that last turn from Andrew.
Yeah, Colin has access to anything he could want now at this point, can get any single card out of the deck. Lost Vacuum seems like a decent choice. Of course, it does depend on what the rest of the hand contains. With Colin having 4 prizes left, what he would like to do, if he can just deal with this Miraidon right now this turn, he should feel pretty decent about his chances to stick around for another turn.
Yeah.
Andrew has already exhausted 2 escape ropes, so it's going to be difficult for Andrew to find the pieces to Boss's Orders, KO a Genesect if this Miraidon goes down, because that takes a lot of energy out of play. Andrew's going to have a harder time maybe building up a different attacker. So that's really what Colin is going to be looking for in this spot.
Well, we'll see what happens here. Mew V going to come down on to the bench here, and we're going to see a Lost Vacuum as well.
4 cards now being drawn.
Yep, off of that Fusion Strike system. Now that path to the peak is out into the Lost Zone here. We're seeing our first power tablet for the turn here, at least. So that's boosting our damage. Plus 30, we're seeing another Fusion Strike system here from that Genesect V on the bench to draw into a couple more cards here for Colin. What are the cards, Chip? What are we working with?
Looks like a couple more double turbo energy and a penny. If this is a penny angle to pick up a Genesect and reuse it, you're only going to get 1 card from this play.
Wow, yeah, it's coming back down. That Forest Seal Stone going to come back down, which allows the hand to draw 1 additional card. Is that just a...
It's Escape Rope.
Escape Rope, 2 energy, and a Judge?
It's just going to be a hit, 220 damage.
Wow.
Andrew Mahone here, if he has a switch card to reset the Miraidon's attack from last turn, and maybe a little something else, Boss's Orders in combination, he could pull it off. I don't think he quite has everything, though.
Well, we'll see where we can
double
get.
hit again.
Electric Generator, that was the one that was drawn off of the prize cards, I believe. That was in hand there for Andrew Mahone. Double hit on that energy, going straight to that Raikou V on the bench, and we're seeing the shuffle as well.
Yeah, so I don't think Andrew can win the game this turn. There is a chance if he brings this Raikou V into the active spot and is able to fleet-footed and draw specifically boss's orders, that would win him the game.
It's pretty niche, though.
It's possible.
It
and
is?
I mean, he can't attack with this active Miraidon this turn. You can't use its attack in subsequent turns, so...
Might as well do what you can do, right?
I mean, you're going to use fleet-footed anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
You're not necessarily expecting to get the game here, but, hey, if it happens, you would absolutely take it.
Oh, absolutely. That would be epic, too, Chip, if we do see that happen here from Andrew. That'd be a super cool way to win.
I wonder if he's debating actually attacking with the Zapdos here, just using Electro Ball. It does 110 damage, but it attacks as a one-prize Pokemon. I don't believe Andrew's used Dynamotor just yet, so he does still have that option available.
Oh, wow.
And with this Bravery Charm going down, I think that's what we're going to see.
Yeah, boosting that HP on the Zapdos there. Maybe just going to go in with that one prize Pokemon. Little liability there from that Zapdos, but still dealing quite a bit of damage there in that Electro Ball.
Pretty good 2 cards on Andrew's end as well from his own Iono. Does find a research for next turn to try to dig. Maybe be going for like a Raichu play on the next turn. And look at this, Zapdos
fully loaded.
Getting some work in here.
Yep, gonna fly into the active position here, that Zapdos, and we're gonna see the Electric Ball. Not something we see often at all from Miraidon EX, but Andrew Mahone knows all the plays, all the outs, and is gonna deal that damage with Zapdos. And now we're over onto Colin's side of the field here. Now that Technoblast was used last turn here from Colin, and we're starting off the turn with a Nest Ball.
Yeah, searching the deck for any basic Pokemon to put into play. Probably just another Genesect. I think all the Mew Vs are actually gone. One in the discard pile, one in the Lost Zone.
Yep, Mew Vs are out of here. And it's just going to be that Genesect V coming out off of that Nest Ball here for Colin.
I want to point out something interesting that Andrew did as well last turn by attaching this Bravery Charm to the Zapdos. It means that his opponent can't go for something like the Cross Fusion Strike to copy a Psychic Leap to shuffle this Pokemon back into the deck. It is technically still possible, you know, if Colin could maybe find a couple of power tablets. I think he would need 3, actually. So it might not even be possible. I think 2 have been played, so might not be able to make it happen. It would also even need a Lost Vacuum to get rid of that Bravery Charm. But instead, Colin, just a boss, and it looks like we're seeing some cards drawn, too.
Yeah, bossing up that Squawkabilly for now. We're going to see that.
Oh, massive play. Finds the Lost Vacuum to actually get rid of the Bravery Charm, which was what was letting Miraidon hang around. Andrew, looking for the switch cart, was unable to find it, and Colin finds a way to take 2 prizes in one single turn.
Absolutely incredible there from Colin, and Andrew just says, I'll go first in this next game coming up. Wow. That was definitely fast-paced here, Chip. Nothing of surprise, I suppose, from both these players.
Yeah,
but
and seeing how that played out, I actually almost wonder now, should Andrew have put the Bravery Charm on the Squawkabilly? He was debating it. Colin would have needed 1 more damage modifier to get there in order to take the KO. He still had a little bit of dig left, but that was maybe Colin's most direct way to win the game. I wonder if Andrew could have gone that route with the Bravery Charm. It's tough to know.
Wow, well, we're definitely seeing the power of Mew VMAX here, and this is why Colin has only single-handedly played Mew constantly throughout last season, and now taking it into Peoria here today. So these are 2 of our highly picked decks, I think, for this weekend. Miraidon being super high up there as well.
Yeah, Miraidon was super popular in Pittsburgh. It's dwindled a little bit here in Peoria, but still a incredibly popular choice. I mean, the power level of this deck cannot be understated, and honestly, the same is easily said for the Mew VMAX deck. Colin did choose to stray away from the fusion build that he did well with in Pittsburgh, now sticking with this DTE version of the deck.
Yep, yeah, all of that happened so fast here, but this was our last turn of the game with the Lost Vacuum, getting rid of that Bravery Charm. Oh, throwing the switch card out there.
So, and that's what he needed.
Yep, that is exactly what Andrew needed there, but just gonna shake things off here and head into a game 2 between these players. You know, as much as I've been talking about Colin being kind of a Mew VMAX pro here, Andrew Mahone is a Miraidon pro. So we have 2 pros of their craft playing against each other here. And it's really going to come down to, I mean, we have an incredible gameplay from both of these players. It's going to come down to which deck is stronger and how do the turns end up for both of these players. So I think it's cool stream match for sure, because a lot of our people watching at home, I'm sure, play both of these decks and often wonder, you know, where am I going to come out? Am I going to be on top playing Miraidon against Mew, or is it going to be super difficult every single time I have to face off against them?
Prize cards going out for these players. 2 Electric Generator and a Bravery Charm once again for Andrew Mahone.
And
not what he wants to see.
Too.
Nothing too bad for Colin. You know, 1 Genesect, 1 Double Turbo Energy, a 4 Sealstone, a VIP Pass. Like, all cards you would like to have, obviously, but you got to prize something.
Awesome. All right, we're kicking off this game 2 between these players. Colin is up a game so far in this set, and Andrew Mahone is going first. We see that cute little Raichu V in the active position here for Andrew Mahone, and that Miraidon EX on bench already going into the deck here with that tandem unit ability to bring out more of these electric Pokemon.
Yeah, Raichu actually has a pretty interesting attack here with its fast charge. If you go first, you can use this attack during your first turn. He'll be able to search his deck and grab an energy card, attach it to the Raichu. So just get 1 extra energy card into play. Andrew's actually, I saw, debating if he wanted to start the Miraidon, start the Raichu, which did he want to do, and realized, oh yeah, fast charge. That seems pretty strong. I'm going first, and my opponent is not playing the Fusion Strike build of the deck. This is totally free for me to be able to do.
Yeah, true. You want to get as much lead as you possibly can. I'm sure if you're on Andrew Mahone's side, you see the slapping down of that path to the peak early there, and that fast charge. Getting to accelerate that energy. Awesome to see. I love when we get to see these moves that it's like, you can only do this if you go first on your first turn, and that's what we're seeing here in this Raichu V, showing off the utility that it has in this deck. We saw Andrew Mahone, of course, slap down that path to the peak before the turn end as well. Now we're over onto Colin's side. There's 1 obstacle in the way here, but lots of cards in hand here for Colin. We'll have to see what he can do with them to start off this first turn. It's just going to be a Genesect V being benched here, and then, ooh, does have that 1 copy of the Lost City in hand already in the starting hand, so bumping that path immediately for the Lost City.
Able to bump the path right away, but the hand is a little clunky and awkward. Just has to lead with a Judge once again. Looking now for Battle VIP Pass, Forest Sealstone, or maybe a way to pare the hand down to draw at least a card or 2 off this Genesect. 4 cards is not a lot, Boo. So
nope.
Colin's going to need a little bit of help here on the other end of this Judge supporter.
But, I mean, didn't turn out too bad last time for Colin.
No,
so
not at all.
We'll have to see. I don't know. I feel like Mew VMAX is just one of those decks that always seems to hit what it needs. So we'll see if it pays off. But, again, it can also get very clunky and very awkward again. 4 cards is not a lot indeed, Chip. So we'll see how both of these players draw from this Judge here. Andrew giving a quick shuffle there. We'll see what 4 cards Colin can draw into.
Yep, 4 apiece here. That stadium having already been bumped is pretty nice. Colin may be looking for some more Pokemon. There is a Mew. A Grabber can thin a card out.
Replay of game 1 here. No Pokemon in there, but Grabber at least, yeah, getting out of the hand, being played. We're going to see Pal Pad be played as well to just shuffle that Judge and see as many cards as possible from this Fusion Strike system here. Didn't see what I think it was a Lost Vacuum was the last card in hand from Colin.
So not going to be a playable card with just the 1 in hand. So
exactly.
It's going to come down to these 2 cards. Can Colin find another Genesect, a Battle VIP Pass, some way to try to keep rolling here? Andrew Mahone definitely holding his breath and hoping that Colin is unable to find those key search pieces.
Yeah, you need Mew to miss as much as possible. And here we go, this Fusion Strike system off the Genesect V. Can we see? Oh, Colin's not slapping anything down, so it must have not been very playable here off of that draw. It's just going to be a pass over to Andrew Mahone, and that is exactly what Andrew wanted to see here going into this game 2, especially being down a game. We see that Forest Sealstone being attached to the Raichu V in the active. Bravery Charm already coming down as well, boosting that HP of the Raikou V into a Professor's Research. Not bad here, Chip. 7 additional cards here for Andrew Mahone.
The thing is, Colin doesn't have very many benched Pokemon in play, so what Andrew really needs is a electric generator with a double hit or a way to get a Flaffy in play so that he can attack with a Miraidon EX or potentially even Dynamic Spark with the Raichu. I feel like, you know, maybe retreating the Raichu to the bench, saving it for a later date could be strong. We'll see how Andrew wants to play it. I would really like to see one of these 2 Miraidon attack, though.
Yep, we'll see if Andrew's able to get there. We do see a Flaffy come down from that Ultra Ball, discarding an S-Ball and an Electric Energy as well for Andrew. So that is a start here with that Dynamotor ability being able to be used to get that Electric Energy and accelerate it onto the benched Pokemon here.
Andrew does have a switch cart in hand. One is prized, we have to remember as well. He also still has his V-Star power he can utilize to try to get something else out of the deck, maybe to go search for one of those electric generator.
Yeah, that's true. We could see that indeed. Oh, it's going to be the hard attach here. Or sorry, was that I think that was the Dynamotor here to take that energy and put it onto the Raikou V, and then the hard attach onto the Raikou V as well. We are seeing that Forest Seal Stone here to search out that singular card from the deck by Andrew. And it looks like, was it the Path, Chip?
It was indeed the Path to the Peak. The thing that I'm a little worried about here is Andrew's not able to get the knockout with this Raikou V. So there's not a lot of Pokemon in play on Colin's end. Raikou is actually only hitting for 160 damage right now. So is Andrew now committing to just attacking with the Raichu is the question.
Yeah, Path to the Peak is going to come down into play here before the end of turn, and it's going to be that Dynamic Spark here from the Raichu V, discarding those energy into the discard pile, and it's going to be the knockout here.
Does find the Path to the Peak. Colin, of course, having the answer right away, but it is just followed up by another judge. Not a spot Colin wants to find himself in. Those Battle VIP pass in the deck are no longer outs to get more Pokemon into play. Colin really needs a lot off this 4-card draw from the judge.
Yeah, Judge is a fantastic card, but not when you're using it as your Hail Mary to get into anything in your hand here. And unfortunately, that's what it is turning out to be here for Colin. Again, Mew VMAX does happen to hit great cards sometimes, so we could see the perfect combination here for Colin to really pop off this turn, maybe take things back. But Andrew Mahone was the first to prize cards here already in this game too, so already being on the back foot and not much to show for the board state. We're going to see what 4 cards Colin gets into. Let's see it. They're so shiny, Chip.
I see a double turbo energy at least. It looks like another Genesect, so I think we can see at least another couple cards drawn and a nest ball. Very solid.
Very nice. Yep.
Playing that nest ball effectively means it's 2 more cards you can draw because it gets 1 card out of your hand and it puts another Fusion Strike Pokemon into play.
Yeah, that is fantastic indeed. So all of the cards needed here for Colin to at least get things going here for this turn.
Looking now just for an Ultra Ball, way to get a Mew VMAX, and he does need 1 damage modifier still. Raichu does have 200 hit points with that double turbo. Mew VMAX, copying Technoblast, only deals 190, so he needs to find either Choice Belt or a Power Tablet to get this KO.
Fusion Strike system here. We see a Cramomatic as one of the cards. Forest Seal Stone going to come down onto that Genesect V. V-Star power, of course, has not been used yet, but Cramomatic for a Cramomatic.
Another
and it's heads. Fantastic. Colin rolling hot here with this Mew VMAX. Heads means you can search out any card here from your deck. So that is awesome to hit. It was a cram for a cram.
Yeah, and Andrew kind of reels back in his seat knowing that Colin really probably needed that to find the combo pieces he needs in this spot. You know, even if Colin does get the 2 prize KO, Andrew is still technically ahead in the prize race. It will just put a lot more pressure on him to find the pieces necessary to get a knockout.
Absolutely. We do see that Choice Belt as well coming down onto that Mew V.
Needs a VMAX, needs an Ultra Ball, a Feather Ball, a Genesect to draw a couple more.
Yeah, a Grabber.
And Grabber hits.
Oh, it actually does hit. So there's a Pokemon in the hand, and now it's going to the bottom of the deck here off that Grabber.
And it does look like Colin was able to find the Mew VMAX. And Andrew's hand there off the Grabber was not super good. He's got a Boss. He's got a electric generator. Not super strong.
Yeah, look at that. Colin getting the knockouts there on that Raichu. Going to take 2 prize cards off of it. And Andrew kind of left in an awkward position here, promoting the Miraidon EX into the active position. Now we see a Switch cart in hand, electric generator.
Andrew has exactly what he needs to get a knockout this turn. The pieces to boss KO a Genesect or the Mew V from the bench. And I actually think as Andrew, I really like going after the Mew V right here. It might seem counterintuitive because you want to target down your opponent's draw, but if you take out the Mew V on the next turn as Andrew, all you need is a Pokemon that can 1-hit KO a Genesect and an Escape Rope, and you guarantee that your opponent, you know, they have to attack with Mew VMAX. It's their only attacker in the whole deck. You'll guarantee that if you play Escape Rope, they have to push a 2-prizer that you can knock out.
Yeah, it is the optimal prize mapping, I suppose, if you think of it like that for Andrew Mahone. We'll have to see which route he chooses to take here for this turn.
Now, Colin, something else Andrew is probably considering right here is Colin has not used the V-Star power just yet, has not used Star Alchemy. So because there is that Forest Sealstone here on the Genesect, that also becomes kind of an interesting potential target.
Yeah, that's very true. Knock it out and get that off of the field. We'll have to see Andrew Mahone able to get those energy onto the Miraidon EX.
And that is the route he's going to go.
Yep, that was a boss's orders in the hand here. Very cool artwork, and that Forest Seal Stone is going down along with that Genesect V. So taking that off of the field completely. An additional 2 prize cards here for Andrew Mahone. So he just has to line things up and take it home in another turn. But right now we're on Colin's turn. After that knockout, we see the double turbo energy coming onto the Mew V on the bench here to start the turn off. And a Feather Ball.
Yep, Feather Ball being able to search out any Pokemon with a 0 retreat cost. Pretty nice in this deck. It can get your Mew V and the Mew VMAX. And with that second VMAX coming into play, Andrew can no longer close out the game with something like just an escape rope.
Yep, absolutely. That's just taking one option off of the field there for Andrew. But still scary business, definitely, if you're in Colin's shoes right now. You have these super powerful, big, bulky Pokemon, but your opponent is just one route away from taking the game home as well and bringing this to a tie between our players. And there's so much time left on the clock, too, Chip.
Yeah, still plenty of time. So if Andrew's able to close this out, we'll be able to see a solid Game 3. We kind of expected that with this match, right?
Yeah.
2 pretty high power and quick decks. Colin is going to take the moment to boss's orders, actually choosing to target Flaffy. And we're just going to see probably a Cross Fusion Strike copying Max Miracle. Colin not having much to work with thanks to his own path to the peak slowing him down.
Yes, unfortunate there. It was played on the previous turn from Colin, but it is still in play here. So not able to draw into any of those cards from that Genesect V. It's just going to be the knockout on the Flaffy and over to Andrew Mahone's side of the field. Raikou V is the active Pokemon now here for Andrew.
Does get a hit there on the electric generator to get one more energy card into play, maybe playing for a potential Raichu at the end of the game, and does find a judge here. It's been Colin, the aggressor with the judges so far. Now Andrew responding.
Yeah, Andrew needing to draw some cards here. I think it was just the path to the peak in the hand for Andrew. So now Judge is at least going to get an additional couple of cards to the hand here. We'll have to see what it is and what he can work with for this turn.
And the thing that's nice for Andrew as well is because Colin had to take the 1 prize KO, he knows that he's going to get at least 2 more turns. It's not possible for Colin to take a 3 prize knockout next turn or find a way to get a 3 prize turn, maybe like he did in game number 1 with that 4 prize turn. It's just not going to be on the table anymore. So Andrew knows he doesn't have to win the game this turn. He's got a little bit of leeway.
All right, let's see what the hand is. Is that 2 Ultra Ball, Chip?
It does look like 2 Ultra Ball, which does open up some Raichu plays potentially on the next turn. That path to the peak is shutting off something like the Fleet-Footed to see an extra card here for Andrew. He's not able to get that little extra search.
Yep, just going to be the Bravery Charm in the hand as well as those Ultra Ball, just deciding how to play this hand out. Was debating the Bravery Charm and is going to opt to put it down here on that Miraidon EX on the bench.
Yeah, trying to protect those energy cards that are in play.
Yeah, I know, yeah. That is the hot commodity for this deck. Your energy is the main proponent here, so protecting that a bit with the Bravery Charm, and it's just going to put some damage here on this Mew VMAX. So, of course, not a knockout. The Mew VMAX is big and beefy, going to take a couple hits, but this is allowing for Colin to get things going and hopefully be able to swing back and take this game here for Colin. So what does Colin need to do, or how does he map this out from here, Chip? What do you think?
He needs a lot. He needs to get rid of the path to the peak that's in play right here with something like a Lost Vacuum, and then he probably needs another Lost Vacuum to get rid of the Bravery Charm. Now, the nice thing for Colin is that, you know, as we do see the Lost Vacuum being played, he does have a Choice Belt here on this Mew VMAX. So that's going to boost the damage a little bit into the Raikou. Will still need another modifier after this Power Tablet is now being played. Actually, no, this will be enough. Grabber is going to search the hand here for Andrew. Sees there's a couple Ultra Ball on his side. Colin does have the pieces lined up to take this KO, and it's going to be pressure on Andrew now to find the game-winning pieces.
Oh, it's going to come down to a nail-biting finish here in this game, too, for both of our players. I'm excited to see what we see here. Is this another Lost Vacuum, actually, from Colin? We saw the first one already being played. This is going to be a second one to get rid of that Bravery Charm. Exactly what you talked about, Chip.
Yeah, getting rid of that piece, so that's easier to KO that Miraidon on the next turn, potentially for Colin. Still more cards being drawn from the Fusion Strike system. Path to the Peak being able to come down could shut off something like a Luminion. Andrew is not playing Luminion, but Colin doesn't necessarily know that.
True.
Wants to put this in play to try to limit as much as possible, and it will be an Iono. The Disruption.
Disruption indeed. Both of these players are going to shuffle up here, and they're going to be drawing cards for as many prize cards as they have. So Colin's going to draw into 3. Andrew only 2 cards, so those Ultra Ball are out of the hand now here and on the bottom of the deck.
Yeah, pretty much Andrew he needs Boss. If Andrew finds Boss,
Yeah.
he wins the game. If he doesn't...
Only 2 cards?
Yeah,
Nope.
and it's an Energy and a Raikou, so I don't think that those pieces are going to help him get anywhere. He needs Boss off the top right now.
No.
Does not find it.
That is rough to see. Yeah, Colin taking that knockout in the last turn, going down to just 1 prize card left, and Andrew just not able to find the pieces here.
He's going to retreat and can at least hit with this Miraidon. He'll probably Electric Generator from hand to the Miraidon that just retreated to the bench.
Yeah.
Smart sequencing here. See if he can get at least 1 energy. Does not.
Not a single energy here for Andrew Mahone, and things are not looking up here for this turn or this game. Is Colin going to be able to take this with a 2-0 finish here in our first stream game? We'll have to see.
Definitely looking in his favor. He does need some help. The Miraidon does have 220 HP.
Look at that.
So Colin needs, all he really needs here is a power tablet, and that's going to let him retreat into the
Oh
other
my
Mew
goodness.
VMAX here and get the game-winning KO. Has not played it just yet,
Oh,
but
we have the Forest
yes.
Steel Stone. That's going to allow Colin stay to this
Boss
entire
works as
game
well.
for the boss's orders. Going to take that Pokemon off the bench, take the knockout, and that is 2-0 here for Colin Merli-Matthews in this game, showing that Mew VMAX is still the powerhouse deck and can make quick work of Miraidon.
yeah, it's probably a little bit of a tough matchup for Andrew Mahone. I think he did everything he could. Things were a little close there in that second game. Really, both of those games were super close.
Yeah.
You can see, like, if Andrew had just found that switch card in game number 1, healed that Miraidon, you know, that gives him a path where he likely wins that game. Maybe if he had put that Bravery Charm on the Squawk ability, it forces Colin to have one more thing in that game number 1. Either way, incredibly close. Colin ends up coming away with the win with that double turbo build of the Mew VMAX.
Yep, here we go. We see a couple of replays between our players throughout this set. This is our game 1 between our players, where Andrew Mahone actually had a pretty pop-off couple of turns here, but Colin was just able to clean things up in the latter half of the game.
Yeah, really both games, like we mentioned, were close. It did come down to that huge play from Colin, using that Lost Vacuum, getting rid of the Bravery Charm, taking the knockout without even having to attack into that Miraidon that turn. Anytime you can make plays like that where you're, you know, able to take extra prizes in a turn that you, you know, from damage that you put into play earlier, I think those are super unique plays, and it's a lot of fun to make them happen.
Absolutely. We saw the Raichu V being used there, that dynamic spark to get a knockout. Not something we see too often, but Andrew Mahone able to utilize that. And then
The
that
hit on the grabber,
yep. Yep, we talked about it a little bit there, but now we're seeing it in action. Brand new card in the game, and it's cool to see it. And yeah, even to get that hand knowledge is really cool from the VMAX player's perspective.
And here we see that turn where things got a little interesting for Colin. Had to take the 1 prize KO. Knew that it would give Andrew a couple turns to work with, but the turn previous, Andrew had gone to 0 cards in hand. I think Colin knew that it was going to be okay to go that route, and he does eventually find that game-winning boss's orders.
Yep, absolutely. We see Andrew there just kind of shaking things off, saying, yeah, this was a tough matchup to head into in the first place, but still did absolutely everything possible, Chip, I think. And like I said, both of these players are masters of their craft. They took the deck that they have played tons of and did very well within this match.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we've talked about how it's kind of a tougher matchup for Andrew, but I don't think it's like much worse than, say, 60-40, anything like that. And you can definitely, you know, hit a 40% 2 games out of a best of 3 for sure. So And we even saw in those 2 games that we
Yeah.
witnessed, it really was close. Andrew was the aggressor in both games, took the first
Yeah.
knockout. And if you can just chain together those knockouts turn after turn, you come out ahead. The problem is that it puts a lot of pressure on the Miraidon deck to make that happen, and you don't have the draw power that
Yep.
VMAX has with Genesect.
Yeah, I was going to kind of bring that up, that with the Miraidon deck versus Mew VMAX, it just feels like there is a lot more pressure on the cards that you're playing.
Right.
If you can't hit this, if you don't get that one card you needed, it has a lot more weight, versus Mew VMAX has so much variability. I mean, we saw multiple times, like the Chromatics searched out whatever card, but then there was the Forest Sealstone that could have also saved the day as well. And there feels like there's a lot more that you can fall back on in the Mew VMAX deck, because the cards in that deck just work so well together. It's like